We are here today set on our final. We are conducting this through Zoom. We are live streaming, and Ms. Taylor is making our record. Okay, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. We're present, ready, Your Honor.
Jeff Hill on behalf of Alexandra Knight, Judge, she's present with me, and we are ready. And we also, my understanding, there's going to be a motion heard by Mr. Morales' client for an extension, and we would like to put our support behind that motion as well.
Okay, we'll take that up in just a minute.
Jerry Morales for respondent father Ernest Hammond. He is present. We are ready, Your Honor.
Stacy Zabala on behalf of Ryder.
All right. All right, Mr. Morales, I've read your motion. If you want to, do you want to call any witnesses? Or do you want to just argue your motion, or what's your
Your Honor, I think the motion for the most part speaks for itself. I can, I'd be happy to call Mr. Hammond if anybody wants to, but I can just argue it. I think that's what I'd rather do.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. Would you like me to proceed, Your Honor?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. Your Honor, this case is set for dismissal April 8th, so we're pretty close. It obviously has not been extended. That's why we filed an extension. I do not recall the exact date, but I do recall at some point there was a hearing that was had, or at least at a permanency hearing, the consideration by the court to appoint respondent mother a guardian ad litem based on some mental deficiencies. Mr. Hammond has confirmed that there are some deficiencies. However, he says that, she's capable in her own right. He says he does provide her significant assistance. I think that is evident in the fact that, when he is not incarcerated, the two have been able to thrive and work services. Your Honor, Mr. Hammond, he was on probation, as the court is aware. That probation was revoked. The state intends to use that as an exhibit. In the violation, he was unable to report for a few months. Your Honor, he expressed to me that he's working, trying to do everything that the department wants, and at the same time complying with probation was really difficult. He had transportation issues at one point, and so he missed a few months. He has since served his sentence, and that is complete. So he's not on probation. That is no longer poses a risk anymore for further incarceration for that charge. They've been doing well. Both parties have submitted a negative hair follicle last week, and or submitted a sample that came back negative, I should say. I believe the two, based on the circumstances with his financial difficulties, his inability to participate in services because of his incarceration, and potential mental deficiencies from respondent mother, Your Honor, we'd ask that the court find that extraordinary circumstances are present to allow an extension. Further, Your Honor, Mr. Hammond, he may be able to elaborate on this. I know that he said that in his with his first caseworker, he had some significant difficulties getting in contact. He had made at least 3 phone calls that went unanswered and unreturned, and so that delayed him in getting some of his services done. And then I know most recently, when he tried to get some services done upon his release, there was a couple of delays. I think his caseworker was in jury duty for an entire week. Things like that, Your Honor. I think just in culmination of everything, Your Honor, we would present to the court that this does present extraordinary circumstances that would warrant an extension, Your Honor.
All right, when was he released from his probation revocation?
February 13th.
February 13th, 2024, Your Honor.
When did he go into that?
December 11th.
December 11th, Your Honor.
Second time incarceration.
And your sentence was 6 months time served?
Yes.
Yeah, so Your Honor, he was sentenced to 6 months time served on that revocation. So again, he is not on probation anymore.
All right, but was he in county jail then for a while before he actually went, or did he serve all of that in county jail?
I served all of it in county jail, Potter County Detention Center.
That's correct, Your Honor. He served all of that in Potter County Detention Center and was time served from there.
So he actually went into Potter County about what time?
December
11th.
December 11th of 2023, Your Honor.
After I probation revoked me and everything.
And Judge, I think it was Jerry, if you don't mind, I think it was a 6-month plea on the revocation. He had 100 and I think it's all 184 days or something like that. And I'm assuming it's a 3-for-1. So he did the 2 months for the 60 days and then you got the 3-for-1 to get out and stuff the couple months.
Okay. Well, I'm just trying to establish the period of time that he was actually incarcerated and where he really probably had for that time frame had an inability to do much in the way of services. But, you know, I've got some questions about what happened before and what's happened since. All right, my understanding was that he was recommended for outpatient treatment and has not done that yet. Is that still correct?
That is correct, Your Honor. I do know that I believe he told me that he was trying to get some of these things set up with his caseworker. So I do not know where he's at with that now, or has that been set up?
But it's been back working again. I've done my 3 more parenting classes. We got a negative drug test. And I'm still waiting for our caseworker to we gotta get a better phone system basically and everything so we can get in contact with her. So we have to do extra services as well.
Okay, are you getting this? Okay. This is kind of tricky for Miss Taylor to hear him. So,
Okay.
Make sure you speak up as loud as possible. And if I need to adjust, Your Honor, I can sit him closer to the microphone.
I think if he'll slow down, that will help. So,
Okay.
So what services has your client completed?
I've gotten 3 parenting classes done so far since I've been out of jail this last time.
Okay, whether it's since you got released or before, I'm trying to find out what have you completed?
None yet, ma'am.
All right, I think your answer was none.
Right.
Why didn't you go drug test when you were requested to do so in March?
Of last year, ma'am?
No, just this year.
We didn't have the transportation to, ma'am.
You what?
We didn't have the transportation.
Did you ask St. Francis for a ride?
We did.
And they couldn't give you a ride?
We were told that for transportation for them to be able to put it in for us, we needed to ask them 3 to 5 days in advance. And when we asked, it was exactly within that time frame.
Why'd you refuse to do a UA back in February?
I was incarcerated in most of February, ma'am.
Well, they did a hair test on you in February, so I assume that was after your release.
Okay.
But their report says that you refused a UA in February.
That one.
He says he doesn't remember, Your Honor.
And are you still living with Ms. Knight?
Yes.
Is she still on her HUD housing?
Yes.
Are you working yet?
Yes.
Where are you working?
Popeye's Handyman Services and Construction.
Okay, what's the name of it?
Popeye's Handyman and Construction Services.
Have you obtained transportation yet?
Not yet, ma'am, no.
How do you get to and from work?
I get picked up by a coworker.
Okay. All right, Mr. Morales, anything else that you want to present before I give the department their opportunity?
No, Your Honor, not unless Mr. Hill wants to join with anything from his client.
Okay, Mr. Hill, let's just kind of talk about the same things. Your client was recommended to go to inpatient drug treatment. I think she went briefly and then left, but has she gone back or completed any kind of drug treatment?
Judge, she has not, to my knowledge, completed any drug treatment. I think she's not opposed to doing outpatient and would be willing to do that, but she has not done any as of yet.
What services has she completed?
I finished parenting.
She says she's finished her parenting classes,
I finished counseling classes.
counseling.
And I got on my medication.
Well, and also,
No, okay, she can't assist, Jeff.
Yeah,
Ma'am.
I'm sorry. Yeah, this is just my apologies, Judge.
how about,
Ma'am,
She's
You
helping,
can't-
that's
you
why.
oh,
She,
okay,
she can't give you answers, Alexandra.
no, no, they don't never mind. Never.
she has a memory.
That's why she's helping me. The judge don't understand. She's helping me because I don't understand half of it.
Okay, let's see into that.
Okay. She says she's back on her medication as well, Judge.
Is that through TPC?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Knight, there's no reason to be upset. I'm just trying to get some information. So
That's
just,
why I don't understand. That's why she was helping me.
I,
She remembers everything. I don't.
okay, it's all right. We have other people here that can help answer these questions. Okay, so just calm down. It's okay.
I like a service dog.
All right. Okay. Mr. Trout, what's the department's position?
Sorry, Judge. Department's position, Your Honor, Mr. Morales' client has been in and out of jail a couple of times, but in the interims that he was not in jail, did not do any services. He has completed a couple of parenting classes, but he, within the year, he has not been able to do that. He was in jail at the beginning of the case, and then he was back in jail in December. But from, at least from August until December, he did nothing as far as his services. Mom has completed some services. Main issue we have now is that since dad has got out, both tested positive within the month of dad getting out of jail. She hasn't done her drug treatment that was referred to for inpatient. That has not been completed. And now it seems to be we have reverted back to at least drug use at one point in the last couple of months with this case starting with drugs. We just don't feel like parents have made any leeway in that. We did discuss at the last hearing, as Mr. Morales stated, whether we needed a guardian ad litem or a family support worker, and I believe a family support worker was decided on and was given to Ms. Knight, to my understanding. So we did what we had discussed at the last hearing, and since that hearing is when the positive drug screens came back. It just seems that at the end we reverted back the wrong direction, and with dad not having done anything, Your Honor, we just were not in agreement with an extension at this time.
Okay, Ms. Zavala?
Your Honor, I am also not in agreement on extension. At this point, we've got both parents testing positive for meth 6 weeks ago, and then refusals after that. I don't know, although mom has worked some services, dad's worked very little. They're now living together. So the home we're evaluating is the joint home together. I don't know how we get past that. And then,
Judge, if I may have a brief rebuttal.
Yeah, as long as she's finished.
I thought she
thank you,
was.
Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Ms. Morales, go ahead.
Your Honor, as I pointed out, the most recent drug screens as of last week, I believe were negative as to both parties. And Mr. Hammond can elaborate further, but I know he did let me know that when he was released out of jail, upon going back home, mother was living in with a couple other people, and he wasn't real happy with the situation. Again, A full-on guardian ad litem may have been more appropriate, but he does say that she needs assistance and she can easily be swayed in a negative way. I think they've both made a bunch of headway. I think there potentially was a relapse. And Your Honor, going back to what Mr. Trout said, I don't believe he actually got 3 for 1 on his state jail. I think he was incarcerated for the full 6 months with his original arrest and his most
6
recent arrest.
days, I served 211 total.
He served 211 days, and so that really did prohibit him. He was trying to maintain employment because he's the only one working, and so having done that, it's just been very difficult for him to juggle. But I think given the difficulties that Mother's had and some of the understanding that she's had, I think we're finally at a good pace, and they've made some headway for at least us to give it another few months to look at, Your Honor. That's all I have.
All right, well, it's time for total candor and honesty. I want to know from each one of them, when was the last time that they used?
Over a month ago.
You said
Okay.
over a month ago, Your Honor.
Sorry.
I know he reported to me that basically it was the day after he had gotten out of jail. It was all around the house when he came, and I don't know that Mother would deny it, but he said that he did have that relapse when he got back. But since then, you used that one time, right?
Yes, sir.
And that was 6 weeks ago. And have you used since?
No.
Your Honor, he reports he used one time when he got out, and he has not used since. And I think that's indicative of the most recent hair follicle.
Okay, same question for Mom.
She would give the same answer. They used together on the day after he got out of jail. And that's the only time.
Okay,
And Judge, if I may real quick, I did misspeak on the 3 for 1 and Mr. Morales is correct. I looked it up. At the beginning of this case, from him being in jail at the beginning of March of last year, Mr. Hammond did 18 weeks, 2 days and 4 hours, and then went back in December and did 9 weeks, 1 day, 15 hours. So a total of 27 weeks.
all right. I'm going to grant the extension in the case for primarily because I think at this point we do need to assign a guardian ad litem to Ms. Knight. I think Ms. Savannah Kincaid is next up on our list, so we will appoint Ms. Kincaid as her guardian ad litem.
What does that mean?
What is that exactly?
Your attorneys can explain to y'all, but I'm going to find that that's the basis for the extraordinary circumstances upon which I'm granting the extension. I will obviously give that guardian time to meet with Ms. Knight and Mr. Hill and get up to speed on things. The other component is I'm going to order both parents to inpatient drug treatment to be then followed up by outpatient program for the duration of this case or until released by an outpatient program. All right, drugs have been the problem, folks, and you've got 3 young children. I will never ever entertain the idea of sending, especially children of those ages, back into a home where I think there's drug use or there's a problem, a potential problem with drug use. Methamphetamine is a very dangerous substance, not only to you all, but it's really dangerous for the children. So you're going to go to inpatient drug treatment. I know that means you got to quit your job. I know it means you leave your housing, but you got to make a choice right now. And I'm giving you a choice to make instead of just saying, let's move forward today. I'm going to give you a little more time. And if you make the right choices, then this may still have a good outcome. If you don't make the right choices, It probably won't. And as much as I hate to make your children wait another 6 months, I'm going to at least try to give you all an opportunity to get this thing turned around. Right now, I'm not promising to give you a full 6 months. I'm going to reset this final for June 20th, because that gives you all time to get to inpatient treatment, complete that, and get started on your outpatient. Now, if mom and dad are going to be a couple again, I want couples counseling if we haven't done that, or if that's not on the list of things to do. So, you know, it's just discouraging that Mr. Hammond gets out of jail, he gets his legal troubles put behind him, and the first thing you guys do is light up and get high. So, can't tell you that I'm happy about that. It's not a way to celebrate. So, to accommodate, I think, Ms. Knight's needs, we will appoint Ms. Kincaid as a guardian ad litem, and I'll give her some time to kind of get settled into the case. But we will reset the final on June 20th, 24. It'll be a 9 o'clock docket. And we'll see where we're at that point in time. If we're making real progress, then we can push the final back. We can push it out some more. But if y'all haven't completed inpatient, then, you know, we'll go to trial probably that day. That's as fair as I know to be. Okay. I do want to go ahead and conduct a review hearing today. And Mr. Morales is putting a new phone number in the chat for everybody that needs it for his client. Okay, so Mr. Trout, who's going to give us an update? Ms. Corbett?
Ms. Corbett, Your Honor, if we could go ahead and release Heather Denicky, she won't be needed for this part if she needs to go on about her business.
Ms. Corbett, if you want to go ahead and give us an update.
Yes. So in March, it wasn't a hair, it was a UA that they tested negative on. And I did allow their visits to resume with the child, as long as they continue to give a negative drug screen. And I have a lot of trouble trying to get my visits with the parents. I didn't even know Mr. Ernest was out of jail until I done an unannounced visit. And he happened to be there and answered the door. And we talked about services, and I did get his counseling referral sent that week, even though I was in jury trial. And I seen Ryder a few weeks ago. He's doing really well. He's walking now. He's saying more words. He's really thriving. Other than that, that's all the updates I have.
Okay. Mr. Hill, anything to add with respect to review today?
No, ma'am.
All right, and Mr. Morales?
Not much more than what's been discussed, Your Honor. Mr. Hammond is aware that the ball is fully in his court at this point, and the only one that can mess this up is himself at this point. And so we're going to have a discussion after this, Your Honor, about what's the way to go. And I do have some confidence based on my conversations with him. He has been honest with me, and I think he's capable. So I hope he does make the decisions that he needs to do to see this through, Your Honor.
All right, and Ms. Zavala?
Your Honor, Ryder is thriving in his placement, doing great. I recommend that placement continue.
All right. Then, as I stated earlier, I'll find extraordinary circumstances exist, and I will appoint Ms. Knight, guardian ad litem. I will extend the dismissal date And Mr. Trout, I don't know if you've had a chance to look at that.
October 4th of 24, Your Honor.
Okay. The new dismissal date will be October 4th of 2024. But let me repeat again what I said earlier. I'm not telling you all right now that you're going to have that full amount of time. So we will reset the final to the June 6th, or excuse me, the June 20th date as announced. And I will order both parents to inpatient drug rehabilitation, followed by a outpatient program, which, like I said, will continue through the duration of this case unless they are released by that program. And I will order them also to complete couples counseling, since they are apparently going to remain as a couple. In addition to their other services, I'm not waiving anything else. I'm adding the couples counseling because I think that would be appropriate at this point in time. All right, anybody have any questions? Because I want to make sure everybody understands that there's no doubt about what needs to happen.
No, Your Honor.
No questions, Your Honor.
Okay, I will see y'all back June 20th. We'll see where we're at. I'm fine if you all want to circulate some information by email, in advance of that hearing. So if it appears that we're making headway and progress, I don't want everybody to have to gear up for a final if it's not going to happen. So we certainly, y'all know that you can run that past me before that hearing.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
We're here
Thank you, Ms.
for a
Porter.
review hearing. We're conducting this through Zoom. We are live streaming. Ms. Taylor's making our record. Okay, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trial for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Aaron Tyndall is my primacy specialist on this case. We're present, ready, Your Honor.
Stacy Zabala on behalf of the kids.
All right, so Ms. Gonzalez is still not connecting through, just says she's joining. I don't know if anybody wants to try to reach out to her while we sort of get started. I know we got some other issues to talk about, but while we're trying to get her connected, can we go ahead and just sort of do a quick review of things?
Sure, Judge.
Let's just talk about how the kids are doing, and I think she has actually dropped out now, so maybe she'll be trying to log back in.
Ms. Tyndall.
So far, the kids are doing really well. We do have an LPS worker on this case. She reports that the kids are doing great in home. They have adjusted well. They are very bonded with Miss Gonzalez, their grandmother. We have no medical issues. I think Adrian is, recovering well from his surgery on his lymph nodes. It was not cancerous on that. They kind of send it off to be biopsied and just test it again. There hasn't been any issues as far as anything from that. We're working well on the adoption. I think Mary has come a long ways on getting everything done within this past month that she needed to with her agency. We're just hold up on paperwork and getting everything finalized as far as that goes with our subsidy paperwork and home studies and things like that.
Okay. So we're kind of headed in the right direction now.
Yes, we've made significant progress in that area.
All right. So is the department and/or St. Francis still requesting to change the children's placement, or we think we're headed where we need to head now?
Due to the mother being in the home this past month and staying the night and being around the children, we at St. Francis would like to ask for different placement.
Still kind of a complicated situation, Your Honor. I mean, due to the nature of the case and why mom's rights were terminated in this case, and conversations being had with grandmother before about this, and then it's happening. We can't in good conscience not ask for placement to be moved due to these situations.
All right. What's the status of mom being around? Is she gone now?
My understanding, she comes and goes. I think she now has one of her other daughters in her care maybe, and has brought that daughter to visit at grandmother's house and to visit the boys. She stayed the night or stayed the weekend. My understanding, she was supposed to go back this past weekend also to pick up the daughter, and was assuming that she was probably staying again that night. My understanding, I think and Ms. Graham may have a little more information on this because she's the main one who's talked to grandmother about this. But the boys know that is their older sister. And they, I think, refer to mom as an aunt, but sister calls her mom in front of the boys. So it's not gonna take long for two and two to get together that if that's their sister and that's their sister's mom, then it's probably their mom too. But it's an unnerving situation for us due to all the facts of the case and why we were involved in this case anyway.
All right, but let's talk about the basics. The children are being well cared for.
To our knowledge, yes, ma'am, from our reports.
Health needs are being met.
Yes, ma'am.
Are their educational needs being met?
Yes.
Are they happy?
From my report, yes.
I know we've struggled with the placement and maintaining that placement, and we've had a lot of issues about, well, I mean, a lot of different things, but just sort of, let's just say globally, some stability type things. But have things in the last, say, 6 months been rocking along pretty well? Not like we had transportation issues and car seat problems, and so
I don't know, Miss and Judge, I'll ask on this direct question on this. Ms. Tyndall, I know we were having a lot of issues on contact with grandma. Are we still having those issues with her, or is she answering?
I struggle a little bit with contact with grandma. She has been better about responding to me and definitely getting on Zoom meetings with me so that I can see the boys. I'm having a struggle right now getting her to contact back one of our service providers, which is for adoption, to do CANs and psychological evaluations on the kids so that we can have that done. I did kind of receive an update from our service provider that they were unable to get her to call them back and make contact with her. So it's been hit and miss, but I can say that from what was reported to me prior to me taking over the case and to what I have experienced, it seems to have gotten better.
But you still have your issues with it from time to time.
Yes, there is still a little bit of a struggle.
Ms. Graham,
Yes, sir.
are you able to get in contact her every time or when you need to, when you go by to see her?
Yes, I just send her a text message and she generally gets back with me generally within the next day or two, but it's not been that much of an issue. And if I could comment on the mother being there, I've been going to this home for over a year now, and that's the only time that the mother has been at the home. And I went to visit on the 15th, and Gabriella was there, and Mary had said that mom had brought her on the 10th, spent the night, that was Sunday night, left on the 11th, and she was coming back on the 17th, the following Sunday, to pick up the child. That's what I was told. I haven't been back over there yet. I know I have a visit set up with her for the 12th of this month.
So, but you're not aware that if mom did or did not go back or stay the night when she went back and got on the 17th?
From what Mary had said, she was not going to spend a night on that.
Hold on 1 second.
all right. Amy didn't get all of your question.
I'm sorry, Amy. I was just asking, you're not aware one way or the other whether mom actually did stay on the 17th when she went back to pick up the daughter?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Ms. Graham, have you have you seen anything that causes you any concern for the children's health, safety, well-being in the home?
No, ma'am, I have not.
You don't think anything in the home or about that situation that presents any kind of danger to the children or or that they're at risk for abuse or neglect?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and I don't have her in the waiting room. She's
Well, okay.
um. So, Ms. Tyndall, how close are we to adoption, you think?
We've made pretty significant progress. I mean, I couldn't give a timeline. I think we could have it completely done by the next normal court date that we would schedule out from this. I mean, 90 days. Just finishing up, basically, like I said, paperwork and then the home studies. They've got to do interviews with everybody in the home, Mary included. And so that's kind of where we're at. So I couldn't give an exact timeline. I would hope it would be before 90 days.
And
Do you think
Judge-
grandmother understands that? I mean, we're teetering on the fence here about, we've been trying to achieve permanency for these children for a very long time now. It's taken way too long. I mean, does she have an appreciation for where, we are either we're at the fish or cut bait kind of point?
I have tried to impress that upon her. I don't know if she fully understands that. I have been very adamant about it in my talks with her that we have to get this done, that some big decisions are going to have to be made if she doesn't really buckle down and get things done. And she did. She got everything done that we've been asking, I think, for the past year. She got it all done within a month. So there has been, like I said, significant progress in that makes me think she understands the circumstances and how dire they are that this needs to get done.
So, I mean, the way I view this is that, I mean, if we're that close, I really hate to pull these three children out of that home. I mean, they're comfortable there, they're adjusted there, they're bonded there, and then there's no guarantees if we move them, that we get to keep them together. There's no guarantees about adoption in the future. I mean, there's too many unknowns versus what we do know. But grandmother needs to know that if we don't achieve permanency for the kids, like really quick, that I will entertain the idea of moving the children to try to obtain that permanency. Don't want to do that. That's not really the route I want to take.
Judge, if I may, another, and I guess it's an unknown and kind of a what if, but we got a situation where this mom didn't have any of her kids in her care. When our case started, the respective dads in the other cases took those daughters and protected them, and those kids were not involved in our case. We had these three boys and the girl. Now she has that child, at least in her care enough to be taking her back and forth to grandmother's that wasn't in her care. It is a concern mostly of mine that if we leave them where they are and they get adopted by grandma, is grandma going to let the same thing happen and give the girls back to mom? I know it. And that's a huge concern of ours, just due to the nature of what happened throughout our case. And that is our main reason for filing a motion on this and asking for change of placement is, she was letting mom back come in and stay in the house, whether it be once or twice. But at the end, when we're getting so close to getting adoption, this starts up. So
I have the very same concern, and but we all know when relatives adopt children,
yes, ma'am.
and we're out of it, they're going to do what they're going to do as far as allowing, potentially terminated parents' right, parents who've had their rights terminated. They're going to allow what they're going to allow, as far as contact with those individuals, and unless the department gets re-involved because we all of a sudden we have, a dangerous situation or safety concern or abuse or neglect or whatever, you know, we have no ability to control that.
Yes, ma'am.
And, you know, I mean, I understand, I share the same concerns with everybody. And she's trying to log in again. I'd like to get her in because I really would like to talk with her. But, you know, bottom line is, I think we got to look at what's working for the children, you know, maybe versus what's not. But, I mean, I want to hear from Ms. Zavala, but I mean, I'm very concerned about the impact on these children to remove them from the home.
Yes,
You know, we've been now for a long time. So Ms. Zavala, she's still trying to log in. So go ahead.
Your Honor, I've gone back and forth on this issue a lot over the last little period. Originally, I took over this case after the final, so I wasn't involved in the final. But our office had a lot of trouble getting a hold of grandmother, had a lot of trouble when we would reach, there was just lots of chaos. And then the really long time it was taking to get everything finalized. Those were all huge concerns for me. Almost all of my really substantial information about the kids and how they're doing comes from the department and the worker that's able to go out there and see them because of those communication issues. So I share the concerns about mom being around. I absolutely don't think she should be around. But then once we heard about the issue and we reached out to grandmother to try to talk, she actually responded to us right away, which was new and different since the last hearing when you talked with her about the need to communicate. So she did actually communicate right away. That's when I figured out, okay, she really has made progress on licensing. At the point that I initially agreed, it looked like she hadn't. But I am very concerned about mom being around. And I'm a little concerned. My conversation with grandmother went really well. She filled me in on how kids were doing, things like that. And then at the end, she made a comment that made it sound like she thought mom had really done everything she needed to in the last hearing and just missed the final because of a missed notice. And that statement kind of concerned me a little bit. I don't know what the background is in terms of what information has actually been shared with grandmother, and what she knows about the situation. So the importance I place on that statement would have to do with how much information grandmother has, because she kind of made it sound like, oh no, mom had done really well. It was just a technicality that she got terminated on. And so that closing statement that she made in the phone call was kind of concerning to me. So it would just kind of depend on what information grandmother has received previously and whether she's just choosing to ignore that. But I also share the concerns about displacing kids who seem to be doing really good. And I am pretty scared about what the alternative is in terms of finding a placement for them all together.
Yep.
And if I may say this, Judge, you know, the fact that we've been trying to get permanency for so long, and grandma just hasn't done her licensing stuff and hasn't done it and has ignored people. And then all of a sudden I know that the house is pretty chaotic with a 5 and 2 3-year-olds running around, and grandmother's older. And I know there's been some past hearings, a lot of talk of, how hard it can be on grandmother to keep up with these 3 boys running around. But the fact that all of a sudden she gets it done, all her stuff done in a month that we've been trying to get done for a year and a half. And in that same time period, mom starts showing up again. Are the boys running her ragged and she's wanting help and is looking to mom for that help now? Or is it just a one-off incident where she brought the daughter to come visit? I don't know. And I think till she gets on, I can't ask her that. But that is that is concerning that it all happened right now when we've been trying to get this done forever.
Ms. Tyndall, can you get her at least on the telephone, maybe on speakerphone with you?
I can. She said that she was logging on and it gave her the waiting room, the connecting and spinning thing. And I told her to wait right there, but I don't know if it was the actual waiting room or not.
She was in the waiting room. I admitted her, but it just kept spilling. So she's obviously
I would say I'll just call her and have her on the telephone if that will work.
Ms. Graham, let me ask you, I mean, when you're in the home, do you feel like she's coping with everything?
Yes, she seems to be coping well with the boys. I've seen some big progress in the boys. Carmine in the beginning was having some behavioral issues, but they have seemed to have been worked out. She has the twins potty trained already. She's got them all in school. Now that she has them all in school now, I think she's coping better because she has that time of the day to do what she needs to do. But I believe she's coping well, and I see progress with the boys being with her.
Your Honor, I do have Mary on the phone now.
Okay, great. All right, let's just make sure that she can hear me okay.
Yes, I can.
Okay. All right, ma'am, this is Judge Baker. We're just discussing that you've made some progress, I guess, in the last month or so towards the adoption. What do you lack on completing so that can move forward?
Manel hasn't asked for anything else. Everything she told me to do, I've done. So I'm not sure.
Okay, there's somebody apparently who's been trying to reach you and has not been able to. Ms. Tyndall, can you go over that again?
Yes, Stonebridge is the service provider we use that has been trying to reach out and schedule a CANS assessment and a psychological evaluation on the boys.
The one that did Carline's psychological evaluation a couple months ago.
Well, they've been trying to reach out again to conduct a CANS assessment for adoption. We have to have all 3 boys do a CANS assessment and a psychological. And I'd received an email from, I believe, a Leroy, I don't remember what his last name was, just stating that he was not able to get a hold of you.
I don't think I've gotten any calls from them. I got a call from a lady, Miss Teague, asking questions, but she didn't say she was with Stonebridge. And when I called her back, she said she had already turned in her paperwork.
She was most likely with the Monty and Associates that we contract to do what we call the HSEG for adoption.
Oh, okay. Her name, yeah, Karen Teague.
Yes. Leroy had emailed me on the 1st stating he was not able to get a hold of you to schedule the CANS assessment for Carmine and Adrian and Andrew.
I don't think I've gotten a call from him.
Okay. And it may have been somebody different. They would have said they were with Stonebridge though.
Right.
So, Ms. Tyndall, do you have contact information that you can give to her?
Yes, absolutely. I can definitely forward on his information. Mary, if you can contact them back.
Yes, of course.
All right. We're back at where we were at our last hearing. My job is to achieve permanency for these children. And we've been sort of just in this limbo for a very long time now. And I'm glad that you've made some progress, but these folks are considering moving the children out of your home and to start looking at what could be an alternative to permanency for them if you don't get these things done. So that's number one concern today. Number 2 thing that we've got to address is about the mother of the children being in and out of the home.
When she dropped off my granddaughter for spring break.
But there was some indicator that she had actually stayed in the home at some point in time.
Well, she did stay overnight and left in the morning. She came at night and slept and left in the morning because she had an appointment.
All right. Do you understand why St. Francis and the department have a problem with mom having contact with the children and staying in the home with them?
Well, they told me as long as she was supervised, I mean, they didn't go anywhere with her, and it hasn't happened anymore.
Yep. but you understand emotionally how that can be very confusing for the children.
They don't know who she is.
Well, she's dropping off their sister. And
They know their sister. They met with their sister. They used to have meetings at the CPS office weekly.
but are you concerned that they're going to put two and two together and figure out if that's her child and she's a sister, that's their mother?
No, she was introduced as an aunt.
Well, I mean, do you understand why, we all have concerns, just number one, about her being around children, just generally?
I do.
I mean, you probably know better than anybody that she has not lived a real, a really good life, is a really good example for her children. And that we were involved because there were allegations and then findings that these children were abused and neglected.
I understand.
So how are you going to handle that moving forward? I mean, with her?
She can't come to my home, obviously, to drop off her kids again. She won't. She won't do that. I won't let her.
If she's going to leave that child with you for some time, I mean, can you make some alternative arrangement where you would meet her to take possession of that child when the other kids are in school or something like that?
Right, but this was on a Sunday, so there was no school.
Okay.
Yes, I can absolutely just tell her don't. Maybe she was going to come on the bus, but she was afraid to. My granddaughter didn't want to come on the bus, so she brought her.
Judge, may I ask a couple of questions?
Sure.
Ms. Gonzalez, can you hear me?
Yes.
I know you said that she dropped off your granddaughter over spring break. Has mom been around or stayed at the house throughout the whole time you've had, or is this the only time she's ever done this?
No, sir. There was another occasion last year, Valentine's of 2023. My brother passed away, and she came to the funeral. Came to the funeral and left.
Okay, she didn't stay the night in the home?
No, and the boys didn't go to the funeral.
Okay. But those are the only other times, that's the only other time she's been around?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And a few minutes ago, you started to make a comment that somebody had told you as long as mom was supervised. I don't believe you were told that. Who told you that?
Jenna, I think that was the name, Jenna with CPS at the very beginning when I first got them.
So when we were still involved, before mom's rights were terminated?
I'm sorry?
I said, so at the beginning of the case originally, before mom's rights were terminated?
No, when the boys were dropped off with me.
How long ago was that?
Oh, September, August of 2022.
Okay, so okay. But you understand that's not the case now. Mom's rights have been terminated. There's supposed
They
to
were
be no
terminated then. They were terminated then.
Okay.
They had already been terminated.
Okay.
But yes, I do. And when I talked to her, I said, she's my daughter. There's going to be occasions that we're going to run into each other at family events. And as long as they're supervised, some things can't be avoided, but obviously,
yeah,
they can.
But at this point, her staying in the house and spending the nights and visiting like that is not authorized or appropriate.
Yes, sir, I understand. And when she came back the next Sunday to pick them up, she just picked her up and left. She went right back the same day because they had school the next day.
Yeah. I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Right. Ma'am, I understand she's your daughter and it poses a difficult situation. But, you know, when you agreed to take placement of the children, you also agreed to be protective of the children and to put them first. So I want to just make sure we have an understanding about that.
Yes, we do.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm not going to move the kids today. I'm hoping that she'll move forward quickly and complete what we need to complete so that the adoption can take place. And I'm going to trust that she's going to be protective of the children, as she's told me that she will be. So, you know, I just don't like the thought of having to move the kids and what happens, you know, what happens then. So, okay, we're going to leave everything as it is.
Sorry, Judge. Ms. Sessions, I saw you unmuted. Did you have a question?
No, I just
Oh.
wanted to say that I had been in contact with the agency that she's getting licensed through. I talked to them this week actually. She submitted all the paperwork. They are sending all the paperwork to the home writer. That happened this week. So the home writer should be scheduling the interviews and the appointment to do the home study next week. So if everything goes well with that, she should be licensed by probably maybe 2 weeks out. And if she gets the psychologicals and the cans done, we could have these kids get subsidy negotiated, could have these kids adopted within 90 days. So I would like to set that as a goal to have that done.
I agree, Ms. Sessions, completely. That's the goal.
Okay.
Ms. Tyndall, if you have any information of those people that are trying to contact grandmother, if you could at least forward that to grandmother, so that she'll know who she's looking for or can contact them in the meantime.
All right, then. I'll continue the department as permanent managing conservator, and I'll continue the children's placement with her. And we will schedule another review hearing July 11th of 2024. And the goal is that we will not have to have that hearing because the children have been adopted.
Yes, ma'am.
So all I can do, Ms. Gonzalez, again, is just stress how important it is that you get these things wrapped up, finished up, and achieve permanency for the children.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. July 11th is the next date. So hopefully you will be taking that off the calendar. Y'all keep me posted.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Judge.
Thank you, Ms. Sessions, Ms. Tyndall.
You bet.
Ms. Graham, thank you for appearing today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yes,
ma'am.
I appreciate your input, Ms. Graham. Thank you.
Some more agreements. So the Hernandez case, are we expecting anybody on
The
that?
Mary
It's
Gonzalez,
almost
that was
all
here a
done.
while ago.
Oh, okay, that's right. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I was just gonna suggest that we just launch into it.
Well, Judge, I can get in touch with my people and see if they can get her to log back on, and we can do that. I'm happy doing it.
Well, I mean, it'd be a lot less interruption in your all's days if we could just wind down the morning and then
Who's good with that? Let me,
then we'd be done until 1.
Who's the worker? I can let him know.
Ms. Sessions is going to be covering, it's Erin Tyndall, but she's out today. So Erin Sessions is going to be covering on that.
So have her on like at 11?
I doubt the speller is, well, I don't know how long. Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
That's
I'd say
safe.
11.
That's safe. Yeah. If she can do that.
So we're here on a review hearing.
Okay.
We're conducting
Perfect,
this
thank
through
you.
Zoom and we're live streaming. Ms. Taylor is making our record. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Jalissa Bird is my permanency specialist with present ready on.
Natalie Archer for the mother, Mary Baca Navarrete.
All right, what do we have new since the court report was filed?
At this time, I don't have any new information. Yesenia is continuing to do well on placement. Once she turns 18, we do plan to get her enrolled and registered for the DADS program. Overall, Yesenia is doing well. She has visits twice a month with her mom. Her mom travels from out of town, and a contractor covers those visits, and those visits have gone well so far. So that's how she's doing so far.
Okay. All right. What else her plan? Do we have a plan?
As far as when she turns 18.
Do we have driver's license? Do we have, what do we have?
Yes, we have her social. We were able to request her birth certificate. And then I'm working with placement on getting her ID.
So if we get those things, then can we get her a driver's license? Can we get that done, or is she just going to do it after she turns 18?
I believe we plan to get that done before she turns 18. So we should be able to get her ID.
Okay, when you're saying ID, that's saying to me like a Texas ID, not a driver's license. Do you mean a driver's license when you say ID?
I believe we wouldn't be able to get a driver's license just for Yesenia's diagnosis. I was told just a Texas state ID, but
I know there was some question about, there had been some question about whether or not she was going to be able to get a driver's license. So that's what I was wondering if we knew that yet. So
okay, I believe not. We would not be able to, but so I apologize.
Okay. All right. Anything else then to report?
Not at this time.
Okay.
And sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I'd seen the report. I haven't really discussed it with my clients, but as far as asking for child support from mom and dad, we'd like to modify that. But if we need to set that for another hearing, we can.
Yeah, I think we probably need to, make sure everybody's got notice that that's going to happen.
Yes, ma'am.
We're going to take that up. So why don't we, I guess you just need to file a motion to modify that. Okay. Then we can set
I'll
up.
discuss with my clients before I get that official file, but I'll go back to that with them.
Okay. We're about out of time.
Yes, ma'am.
Honestly, so I don't know whether it's worthwhile to do or not.
I understand.
Yeah. Okay. Ms. Archer?
My client's not here just because we talked about the order and she agreed to the current placement. She's happy with the way that's going. She had some concerns I shared with the ad litem, and I can email Ms. Barrett about that. But overall, she's happy and thinks things are going well.
Okay. All right. And I still don't have Mr. Turman logged in. So the indicators is he's had no contact with his client recently.
That was what he told me. And I believe, Ms. Bird, your report, have you had any contact with dad since he's been released?
I have not. The number that I had no longer works for him, so I have not had recent contact with him.
And he was released when? March 18th, I think I saw. Is that right?
I believe so.
Not at any, have you run any searches on him to see if he's popped up anywhere? Do we think he's still over in Hereford area, Dove Smith County area, or do we know?
I do not know at this time, but I can run a search, a more recent search I can do.
Okay.
All right, then I will continue the department as permanent managing conservator, and I'll continue placement. And we'll be back for our next review hearing on September 19th, 2024, and that'll be, let's see, September 19th, 2024. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Thank
And
you,
if you decide to file a motion to modify before that, just let us know and we'll get it set.
Yes, ma'am, will do.
Okay.
Jalissa, I'll be in touch with y'all on that.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge. May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. We're here today
Thank
on
you,
a review
Judge.
hearing.
Thank you.
We're conducting this through Zoom. We're live streaming, and Ms. Taylor's making our record. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Todd Alvey on behalf of the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. I'm present, ready to proceed, Your Honor.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the boys.
Okay, so what do we have news since the court report was filed?
Yes, Your Honor. Both boys, Zarel and Zabriel, are currently in an emergency respite placement. We received an intake regarding physical discipline being used by the boys' previous foster parents. So we put them in emergency respite. That disposition on that investigation is still pending right now.
All right. Okay. Any anticipation how long this is going to take?
I have a meeting for the final disposition with investigators next Wednesday.
Was this a report made by someone else, or was it an outcry made by a child?
Outcries made by both of the boys.
All right. Anything else to report? Otherwise, they're doing fine. And
yes, ma'am. Both boys are doing well. We did find a respite home that kept them in their same schools, so we didn't have too much disruption. Zabriel is attending an after-school program, which we're working on helping the CPA with payment for that after-school program for now. Other than that, the boys are doing well, happy, healthy for now.
All right, then, Ms. Zavala.
Your Honor, I got to Zoom with the boys and see them. They looked good. They are pretty active. It's pretty hard to get a good long sit down visit with them, but they seemed happy. They looked good. I was not a part of that outcry. You know, so I'm just waiting on the results of the investigation. I know that they're talking to everybody that they need to. I was really sad to hear that because it seemed like a really positive placement and I was pretty devastated, but we'll just wait and see what the results of the investigation are. But the boys themselves seem to be doing really well.
All right, then. Until we know more, then we'll continue the department as permanent managing conservator, and we'll continue placement in the respite home and see the investigation through. Our next hearing will be September 19th of 2024. That'll be on a 9 o'clock docket. We're here at a review hearing. We're conducting this through Zoom. We're live streaming. Ms. Taylor's making our record. Excuse me. Okay, we'll take comments.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Tim Coble is my permanency specialist. We're present ready.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of Hunter.
Okay, and as I said earlier, Ms. Albonico is trying to join. I've let her in from the waiting room. It just says joining, but she's not connected through, so we'll just keep watching for her. All right, Mr. Cole, what do we have new since your court report was filed?
We just, as of this morning, scheduled a circle of support for Hunter. It's kind of a placeholder of April 18th and may change a little bit based upon availability of the people that we want to be there, but he will have his circle of support this month. He's doing well. He's actually in Amarillo right now, visiting grandparents for a week. He's going back tomorrow, and that visit's been going well. He's a couple of months from graduating and 4 months from turning 18, and he's doing well in school and just got his SAT score back, which placed him in like the 24th percentile. So he's in the top, 25% or 1/4 of all the people who took the SAT. So he's definitely not struggling from an academic standpoint. He has completed his CNA program, his certified nursing assistant program that he was doing earlier this year. He just needs to take a test in order to be officially certified, but he has his certificate of completion of the course. He is all caught up on his medical and dental and other healthcare appointments. He actually had a dental appointment right before he came to Amarillo on this trip. So everything's going well there. I had a chance to see him when he arrived on the 28th last week, and he's healthy and seems very content. So Hunter's a good kid. He's just kind of at a crossroads of deciding what he wants to do with his life. As a lot of youth, you know, you get ready to graduate and you have romantic entanglements, or maybe that's not the best word, romantic relationships. And so that's one of the things he's kind of weighing between college and, you know, a girlfriend who's still in high school and still will be in high school for a little bit. But we'll have a chance during that circle of support to talk to him about what his options are for staying in extended care, for supervised independent living. We want to make sure that he's fully informed about what those options are so that he can make a decision about, you know, what he wants to take part in. Because there's definitely a lot of advantages, as we know, to staying in care and getting help with college.
Yeah. Definitely.
That's really what I've got.
All right, we're gonna make an all-out push on extended care and all that, because I would sure like to see him go further in school. And you know, he's got some interest in the medical field, I guess. So let's try to kind of head him in that direction if we can.
Yeah, my concern is he hasn't had a job before. He doesn't have a driver's license yet. He has a state ID, but he doesn't have a driver's license. So it's going to be a little difficult for him to just decide, hey, I want to go live independently, but not have the transportation or the ways to get places or a job lined up. So, you know, we'll go over all those things with him during that circle of support for sure.
Okay. Any way that he could get a part-time job between now and graduation?
I don't see why not. Definitely going to push for that.
Okay. Yeah, we could maybe kind of ease into that. That might be good. Okay.
And there'll be a few months gap in between graduation and his birthday, which is at the end of July. So we'll have to coordinate with placement as far as his ability to remain at placement. And, you know, I believe with the supervised independent living, although I'm not an expert on that, I believe that there is a requirement for working 20 hours a week if you're going to stay in care. So,
or a combination. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. All right. Ms. Zavala?
So when I talked with Hunter, I guess it was maybe a week and a half ago, great conversation. I mean, he looked great. He seemed great. He actually told me that he had very specific plans to attend college, named off the college. And, you know, now things may change on a daily basis. So, you know, we talked about that. And my hope is that continues to be his plan. He seemed really good. I'm hopeful that at the circle of support, we can kind of get some plans in place in terms of jobs and what we do for that transition, because if he goes into college, probably dorm stuff won't be available until August, I would be guessing. If he's turning 18 in July, you know, there's some things to maneuver. My other concern was driver's license, and we're now within that. I don't believe we can now get him a driver's license until he turns 18. But once because we don't have that 6-month permit timeframe, but that's top of the line in terms of when he turns 18, getting him set up for that. But when he was talking to me, he was pretty dead set on college and was really excited about his SAT scores. You know, at first, Tim, when you said it made it sound like he was down in the 24th. He's like the
76th percentile. Yeah, instead of 24th.
Yeah.
I misspoke.
So it's actually better than it sounded. But he really seems like he's doing great. He is in town right now. I haven't seen him in person. I don't want to mess with his time with his grandparents, and But Tim's been great in communicating all that info to us, and I have high hopes for Hunter.
Okay.
And if I could just jump in and say regarding what he's saying about college, this is just kind of new to me as of this morning, but he's saying that he's been telling people that he's going to go to college just because people kept asking and he got tired of being asked. So,
has he done college applications? I mean, I don't know when those are due. I know
He made it sound like he had when he talked to me. And he's specifically talking about Sam Houston State.
Yes, he did talk about Sam Houston State, but again, he said the reason he threw that out there was just because it was close and because people kept asking him. So,
well, then we'll keep working with him and make sure he gets where he needs to go. So he's got so much potential, and I think his whole team wants to make sure he uses that.
Okay. Well, we'll just keep encouraging it. All right, then I will continue the department as permanent managing conservator, and I'll continue placement. And our next hearing will be July 25th of 2024. That'll be on a 9 o'clock docket. That's right before his 18th birthday. And Mr. Copewell, if you have contact with Ms. Albonico, if you'd let her know, we saw that she was trying to log in this morning, that we never could get her connected, but we knew she was at least attempting.
I was communicating with her this morning by text, so I'll give her an update on everything that took place today.
All right, I appreciate it very much. Okay, thank you all so much. We are
Thank you.
Thank you,
a
Judge.
review hearing today. We
you.
are doing this through Zoom. We're live streaming, and Ms. Taylor is making our record. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Jaleesa Bird is my permanency specialist. We're present ready.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of Tashawn.
Selby Stachey with CASA, and I have my advocate, Michael Davis, here as well.
All right, great. Okay, what do we have new since the court report was filed?
Tayshawn's currently in an unauthorized placement. We've been trying to get him enrolled in school, helping get his a driver's license. He is working at a mechanic shop. So I've just been checking in with him. He reports he's doing well, that he feels he's a part of a family as unauthorized placement. So that's my current update on Tayshawn. He's doing well so far.
Is he willing to go to school?
He has kind of been in and out. Sometimes when I speak with him, he does want to attend. And then when we start discussing about enrolling, he says he does not want to attend. So it's kind of been a back and forth about attending school. So we talked about the GED program at AC and getting him enrolled. And at this time, I would say no. But sometimes he'll say that he's okay with enrolling. So he's kind of in and out on deciding whether to get enrolled in school.
Okay. But placement seems to be supportive of him and encouraging him and all of that.
Yes, placement wants him to attend school and just have the best outcome for his future. So they're advocates with school as well.
Okay.
Ms. Bird, I know we filed a modification as placement was willing to take PMC. That's kind of fallen to the wayside a little bit. Do you know, are they still interested in doing that? Or what are they wanting to do?
Yes, the last time I met with them a few weeks ago, they were still interested in being PMC, and Tayshawn was still wanting to basically stay with the family and not continue care.
Okay. Are they willing to sign the order? I know we sent an agreed order to get it signed. Are they going to sign that, or what are they wanting to do?
Yes, they agreed to sign and they did sign. So I just wanted to talk with Stacy and his team to just kind of decide moving forward.
So they have signed that order?
Yes, they have.
Okay. I just haven't seen it, Judge. That's why I was asking. It hadn't been sent to me yet.
Okay. Well, obviously, if everybody agrees and we get that, then y'all can just send it to me and
yes, ma'am.
I'll sign off.
And I think I have everybody else's signature. We were just waiting on placements because their plans from when we filed this till now have changed from what they were doing. At the time when we filed this, they were moving out of state, and we're going to take them with them, but that has not happened. And so we were waiting to hear back on that.
Okay. All right. Okay, Casa.
Well, Your Honor, I've been working with Tayshawn for about 1.5 years now, and I think honestly this is the best place for him where he's at. I've tried to contact anybody that I could get a number for and anybody they could lead me to, and nothing.
Well, I think, I mean, you know, he's done well here, so I don't see any reason to rock the boat. So, Ms. Zavala, are you content with how things are going?
Absolutely. I mean, I would love it if Tashawn would either go back to school or get a GED. I know Jalissa has talked with him about that. I've talked with him about it, but I do agree he is doing better here than he's done in the entire time that I've worked with him. So I'm completely on board with PMC to placement. And he just is calmer when you talk to him and open to discussing things. I mean, I don't know that he is going to go back to school. I don't know that he is going to go back and get his GED, but he looks like he's considering it, and he looks stable, and he's happy with working and happy with where he is. I'm on board with PMC if we can get that done.
Well, and I'm assuming that, you know, they're going to continue to provide housing for him after his 18th birthday, that he can continue to stay there and work until he's ready for independent living.
It sure sounds like it. You know, barring something unforeseen happening, it sure sounds like that's everybody's plan at this point.
Okay, well, I'm good with it. If everybody decides they want to submit the order, then ship it over and I'll sign it and we'll wrap it up. And, you know, I just think it's going fine for him. So, all right, then, till that happens, I'll continue the department as permanent managing conservator, and we'll continue his current placement. And we do have a next court date of August 8th of 2024. That's on a 9:00 docket. That's just right before his 18th birthday. So, we'll see what happens between now and then. All right.
Jalissa, if you want to send me those signatures, I'll get that file.
Yes, I'll send it to you now.
All right, thank you.
Thank you all. Casa, appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Wish we had more placements like this. Trying these older kids.
I agree. I mean, I didn't think there was any chance of getting this kid in as far and as well as we've done with him. Now if we could just get his brother.
Yeah.
No one says permanency has to look a certain way, so.
Yeah, I did tell him to make sure if and when he talks to his brother to let him know we're all here for him and would love to help him.
Yep.
Well, you never know. Okay.